This is every single fight to make after UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje. I've got all of the key fighters from that card on the screen right now. Some winners, some losers, and you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them, and that's where their next opponent's going to go, who I have hidden around the perimeter of the screen. I'll slowly reveal those opponents one by one as the video goes on and place them where they belong on the screen. Let's start straight away with the main event. Charles Oliveira defeats Justin Gaethje by first round rear naked choke in an amazing performance, and I feel like next for Charles Oliveira is Islam Makhachev. It's Islam Makhachev. Now, I know it does hurt me to say that Islam Makhachev earned a title shot against Charles Oliveira by beating Bobby Green. However, he was scheduled to fight Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is not going to be ready to fight Islam Makhachev. I believe he already turned down a fight with Makhachev in July. He needs to wait until the end of the year, until he's healed up from his injuries. So right now, with the situation that there is in the lightweight division, Poirier just lost to Charles Oliveira. Gaethje just lost to Charles Oliveira. Chandler's already lost to Charles Oliveira. It was a great fight, but he just beat Tony Ferguson. That doesn't earn you a title shot either at this point, with the loss streak that Tony Ferguson's on right now. So you got to do a fresh matchup between two guys on amazing win streaks in the lightweight division. Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev on the pay-per-view card in October in Abu Dhabi. It just makes ultimate sense schedule-wise. They're both free to go right now. And if I was Charles Oliveira, I know his first and best case scenario is not to take on Islam Makhachev because it is a tough matchup. It's Islam Makhachev. He's very, very good. But why wouldn't you want him now? If I was Charles Oliveira, I'd want the Makhachev fight now. I don't want him to get better by taking on Beneil Dariush, maybe winning, and then going out there nice and active against Charles Oliveira. I want Islam Makhachev, who maybe hasn't fought in a little while. He's been out for a long time. The pressure's building up, and he hasn't been active. Charles Oliveira's been way more active than him recently, and I think Charles Oliveira should pounce on that opportunity. I think he would beat Islam Makhachev, and I think him versus Makhachev is the matchup to make in the 155-pound division. Let's make it happen for the vacant belt in Abu Dhabi. It's basically the third defense of Charles Oliveira's world championship. And for Charles Oliveira as well, he's in his peak right now. He's the best he's ever looked. Take on Makhachev when you're the best you've ever looked. You know what I mean? Take on Makhachev when you're having your best performances and your confidence at an all-time high. You don't want to have a bad performance against someone, not look the best, and then have to take on Makhachev afterwards. Let's get this done now. It's in October. Abu Dhabi main event. That's what you kind of need. You need one of those Khabib team members to fight for a belt on that Abu Dhabi card, because who else really is there? You can't wait for Ankalaev to get a title shot at the light heavyweight division and then maybe have him headline. That wouldn't even be a big headliner because no one really cares about Ankalaev. He's a big name, but like the hype around Makhachev is night and day compared to the hype around Ankalaev. So, and Askarov just lost, so he's not getting a title shot at flyweight. You need a guy from that area in the Middle East, in the Caucasus, to fight for a belt in Abu Dhabi. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Make that matchup happen, and let's see how it goes from there. Amazing matchup. I really want to see it. I think Charles Oliveira would beat him, and I want to see that fight next, because I know Makhachev doesn't have the best names on his resume. Sometimes it's not his fault. Sometimes it is his fault. He pulled out of an RDA fight. RDA pulled out of a fight with him. Dariush pulled out of a fight with him. He beat Bobby Green. He's on a crazy win streak. It makes sense to do. Oliveira's beaten Gaethje, beaten Poirier, beaten Chandler. What else are you going to do? RDA Fiziev winner? No. Let's do Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev, make that matchup happen. Moving on to the loser of the main event, Justin Gaethje. Not a terrible loss for Justin Gaethje in terms of how long it's going to take him to recover, in all honesty. I know a lot of people are going to be thinking to themselves, what are you talking about? He got finished in the first round. He got knocked down. I bet you he took more damage in the Chandler fight than he did in that fight against Charles Oliveira. I bet you he took more damage in fights with Eddie Alvarez and even Dustin Poirier. I know he lost those fights, but still, there are fights that Gaethje wins where he's going to need more time to recover than he does against a loss with Charles Oliveira. He got dropped badly once, hit hard a couple of times, choked out in the first round. It's not like he's going to have any broken knuckles or anything like that, or broken ribs or anything like that to have to recover, or his feet are going to be broken from kicking someone's leg off for 5 rounds. Like, this is arguably a good case scenario for Justin Gaethje to turn around real quick in the lightweight division. Let's do him versus Dustin Poirier next in the lightweight division. I want to see that matchup. I think it makes all the sense in the world. Him versus Dustin Poirier in about 4 or 5 months' time. Now, this could be a main event of a fight night, and it would be an amazing main event of a fight night. I would suggest seeing as they're not trying to put Khamzat Chimaev on the ABC Fight Night main event, Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier 2. You love to impress ABC with a big high view count main event on their channel. Let's do Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier 2. If you don't want to do it then, and that's a little bit too soon for Justin Gaethje to turn around, because I believe that card's in August, then we can wait until September, October, November, put them on a pay-per-view card. That will add a lot of pay-per-view dollars. I just don't really want to see it for 3 rounds. I'd love a 5-round fight between the two of them, because I know it's going to be a war. However, a 3-round fight is equally going to be as entertaining. It might even be more high-paced. Let's make that matchup on the main card of a pay-per-view in a feature fight position for 3 rounds, or on a weaker pay-per-view as a co-main event for 5 rounds. That's an amazing matchup in the lightweight division, and I feel like the UFC is going to put them on a pay-per-view card because they're going to bring in some pay-per-view dollars, make that rematch immediately, because it's been long enough since their first fight. Both of their names have grown massively since that moment, and I think it would be intriguing to see who would really win in a rematch, because they've gone different ways with their styles. One guy, Gaethje, hasn't really had the success that he wanted yet. Dustin Poirier had the success. He got the big payday against Conor McGregor, so I want to see those two against each other. Gaethje, Poirier 2, make it happen. Moving down the card, Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas. I didn't even want to speak about this one, but let's get into it. Carla Esparza, next for her, in my opinion, is the winner of Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk 2, which takes place on the next pay-per-view card at UFC 275. Carla Esparza is going to be getting married over the next month, and after that, I'm guessing she want a little bit of time off with her husband and be the champion for a little bit, so I think schedule-wise, this makes sense. Wait for a month, get married, wait for another month, get right back into work against Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk winner. I think it's going to be Zhang Weili because of the time off for Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And then we can do that matchup. They haven't fought each other yet. Carla Esparza, Zhang Weili. It's the matchup to make at strawweight right now. You want to know why? Marina Rodriguez hasn't really earned a title shot. I saw Jessica Andrade calling out for a title shot as well, saying how boring all of the other fighters were in that division. But I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, you just beat Amanda Lemos. Like, that doesn't get you a title shot either. I feel like Rose Namajunas should take on Marina Rodriguez. That's the matchup to make for Rose Namajunas. Carla Esparza versus the winner of Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And then we can do Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern in the meantime. Mackenzie Dern got a robbed, gifted decision win over Tisha Torres recently. She's now back on a win, looking to climb up the rankings. Andrade, Dern, Brazilian on Brazilian, Namajunas, Marina Rodriguez, keep them active. And then Carla Esparza versus the winner of Zhang Weili and Jędrzejczyk. And then we can meet in the middle after that with some other matchups. I don't want to see the Carla Esparza, Rose Namajunas trilogy. First of all, Rose is down 0-2. Fair play, she was a defending champion. But, like, no one's looking for that fight again. So the best case scenario is that Zhang Weili wins against Carla Esparza, which arguably I could see happening. And then Rose beats Marina Rodriguez, and we get like a Zhang Weili, Rose Namajunas trilogy instead. Whatever. Moving on to some real fights. Michael Chandler got a big win against Tony Ferguson, who we'll get to afterwards. He called out Conor McGregor on the microphone. He said he wanted it at 170. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Conor McGregor, I was thinking maybe do him versus Justin Gaethje, but that is kind of like, the hype isn't quite there because Gaethje's coming off a loss. You've got to put McGregor against someone who's got momentum, someone who's called him out on the microphone. That is perfect promo. That will sell a lot of pay-per-views now. The build-up between Conor McGregor and Tony Ferguson, if Ferguson would have got that win against Michael Chandler, would have been way better than the Michael Chandler-Conor McGregor build-up. Michael Chandler's going to sit there, be respectful, remind us of his adoptions and stuff like that. Like, he's just going to be the nice guy, talk up of Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's going to come back, be a bit nice to Michael Chandler as well. Like, it's just going to be not the best build-up, but in terms of anticipation of what could happen, not only is there a chance McGregor could lose, if McGregor loses to Dustin Poirier, he gets volume finished against a cage, okay? Or he gets decision lost. If he loses to Chandler, we might see Conor McGregor go limp. You know what I mean? Like, I know he went out against Dustin Poirier after an accumulation of shots. There's a real chance Michael Chandler goes out there and sparks McGregor out cold, lifeless in the octagon. And that's enough for a lot of people to want to watch that matchup. Plus, the promo that he cut after that fight happened is amazing as well. And also, another thing that I feel like Michael Chandler did very well was mention the fight at 170 because Conor McGregor wants to fight at 170. He's been saying he wants to come back at 170. He said maybe you'd think about it with Oliveira. I don't want to see McGregor Oliveira. He hasn't earned a title shot. Let's stop talking about it. Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor in the welterweight division if they want to do it there. I'd rather it at lightweight. Much rather it at lightweight where the division actually makes sense to happen that way, but whatever, let's do it at welterweight. It'll still affect the lightweight rankings because he'll still technically beat Michael Chandler. They just won't have to cut the weight, I guess. They're both lightweight-sized men anyway. Let's just call it a catch weight at 170 lightweight bout. And let's make that matchup happen. I really want to see that one. And actually, Conor McGregor taking it at 170, I think, does him a favour against Michael Chandler because he's a bit of a bigger man. Michael Chandler might slow down a little bit more at 170. He could be more explosive, though, and also put out Conor McGregor badly in the first round. But after watching Ferguson do work against Chandler on the feet in the first round of their fight just a couple of nights ago or yesterday night, McGregor might be thinking to himself, I can take this Chandler guy. In the first round, I can land those shots, and if I land them, I hit a lot harder than Tony Ferguson. Make that matchup, Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor, main event of a pay-per-view. Let's get it going. Moving on to the loser of the Chandler-Ferguson fight, Tony Ferguson. May he recover as best he possibly can. I don't want him to continue. I wanted to put like a retirement sign there. I tried to find a picture of his family to put in here, but I'm thinking like he's not going to retire. The UFC don't want him to retire. They say he's got another chance. Tony Ferguson's going to take that other chance, and he will come back against. And I bet you he'll come back against. This isn't even like a he will, and I think this. He's going to come back. So if he's going to come back, let's find a nice matchup for Tony Ferguson. It's Dan Hooker. Ranked in the lightweight division at the very bottom, same as Tony Ferguson, similar ranking spots, both guys on losing streaks right now, similar positions in their career. They can both sell a fight, main event of a fight night, October, November. Give Ferguson at least 5 months off, so October is like the earliest he can come back. I don't want to see a 3-month turnaround, a 4-month turnaround, anything along those lines. I prefer 6 months, but because he's so old, I don't want him to be out that long either, so 5-6 months off. Come back against Dan Hooker, who also needs a little bit of time off after the beating he took against Arnold Allen. Let's make the matchup happen. Dan Hooker, Tony Ferguson, perfect matchup to make in the lightweight division. 5-round, main event of a fight night. It can sell a fight night card out. Make it happen, please. I really want to see a winnable matchup for Tony Ferguson. And I'll say this. I don't see Dan Hooker KOing Tony Ferguson. I don't see him submitting Tony Ferguson. In a 5-rounder, Dan Hooker really slows down. I want to see Tony Ferguson versus Dan Hooker in a 5-rounder. Not just because I love the matchup and I think it'll be a really fun fight, but also because loser goes home, winner stays in the UFC, and Tony Ferguson probably wins. And I'll probably pick him to win based on how he was looking in the first round against Michael Chandler. Let's make that fight happen. Ferguson, Hooker, loser goes home, winner stays in the UFC. No tough matchup. Let me not see, Fiziev's coming off a loss. You know, I don't want to see that. Let's see Tony Ferguson, Dan Hooker, fight it out at lightweight in October, in November, on a fight night main event. Sounds good to me. Let's move on to another matchup. No more tough matchups for Ferguson. Let's have some fun. And if, he wins that one and Cerrone beats Lozon whenever they reschedule that fight, Ferguson, Cerrone too. Let's build some momentum here. Let's not start feeding him to the wolves coming up in the lightweight division. Garam Kutateledze is coming off a big win. I don't want to see that. Move on. OSP. Got a big win against Shogun. It's not a big win. You should have finished him, you disgrace. Either way, got a win against Shogun Rua. I think the next matchup for him is Tyson Pedro, coming off a big win in the light heavyweight division himself. Both guys are unranked at light heavyweight. And I know OSP is not going to last much longer, and he will lose to Tyson Pedro if he fights him again, because OSP is terrible, and he really needs to start upping his performances. He's looking worse and worse every single fight. He barely beat Shogun. I thought he clearly beat Shogun, but it was too close for my liking. So while we're here, OSP has a win over Tyson Pedro. That's a terrible, terrible stain on the career of Tyson Pedro. If you want to sell the narrative that Tyson Pedro's back in action and better than ever, he needs to redeem a loss previously in his career and get that stain of the OSP loss off of his record right now. He's already got a stain against Shogun Rua, but it can be explained. It was when Shogun was still kind of with it in the light heavyweight division. OSP, Tyson Pedro, 2. I don't know when they're going to do it. Maybe, honestly, in October, they could do that as a feature fight of a fight night card in New Zealand with a main event of Tony Ferguson versus Dan Hooker. That sounds good to me. So let's make that. OSP, Tyson Pedro 2, big matchup in the light heavyweight division. Get that loss off of his record. Hopefully Tyson Pedro wins. Move on. Down the card, Randy Brown. I didn't think he beat Chaos Williams, but he got his hand raised. It was a close enough fight anyway. Not going to sit there and complain about it all day long. Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikov. I think Randy Brown has earned himself a guy who's either going to get him ranked at number 15 or get him into the top 15 for good, or even get him into a position where he can start calling out top 15 opponents and getting top 15 opponents. Randy Brown, Muslim Salikov, both technical strikers. I think it would be a striker's dream matchup. Let's make that fight happen. Randy Brown took on the tough challenge in Chaos Williams. Didn't think he won, but he got his hand raised. He's had a couple of tough opponents recently. He's beaten them. So let's do Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikov. Randy Brown's clearly better than all of the bottom feeders in the welterweight division. Time to find out if he's good enough to beat those top 20 guys in the world. And then it's time to find out if he can get his hands on a ranked opponent. Randy Brown, Muslim Salikov. Muslim Salikov's free right now. He doesn't have a matchup. Make it happen in the welterweight division. Moving on, Brandon Royval got a big win over Matt Schnell. He wants to fight for a title or even get like a vacant spot. Apparently he heard that whilst Figueiredo is injured until the end of the year, they're thinking of doing Kai Kara-France versus Brandon Moreno 2 for an interim world championship at Flyweight. I believe that he heard that. Otherwise, why would he say it? So let's do, in the meantime, rather than him be the vacant fill-in for whatever happens in that matchup, which I just don't care about, Brandon Royval has a loss to Alejandro Pantoja. Run it back. Run it back. You're talking about all these people that you beat. Run back your loss. Let's get your loss off your record. Pantoja deserves a big fight. Royval deserves a big fight. They should fight it out amongst each other. If they're doing Kai Kara-France versus Brandon Moreno 2, winner gets Figueiredo, let's time at the end of the year Brandon Royval versus Alejandro Pantoja in October and make that matchup happen. The rematch in like the co-main event of a fight night with a strong feature fight and a strong main event. Make it happen. It'd be a really fun matchup, and I think it would be a very competitive one as well. I think Pantoja might win that one because Royval gets dropped all the time and Pantoja isn't as sloppy as some of these other contenders. Like, he can put you away and then be patient and find the other shots to put you away afterwards. So let's see Brandon Royval versus Alejandro Pantoja 2. We move on. Another guy I just wanted to mention because he had a great win and I'm really looking forward to seeing how his career blossoms. Andre Fialho. In the welterweight division, I think his next opponent should be. He's fought 3 times in 5 months. He wants to turn right back around at UFC 275 in a couple of weeks' time in Singapore on the pay-per-view main card. Andre Fialho, you need an opponent that's very worthy of opening a pay-per-view main card because you know it's going to be a fun matchup. Andre Fialho versus Nico Price. Need I say more? Guaranteed fun, guaranteed chaos, really fun matchup no matter who wins. Arguably, Andre Fialho is probably going to KO him in the first round, which will get him a ton of notoriety, and he can start moving on and building his own career. He lost to Pereira. He beat a great opponent in... It wasn't really a great opponent, but he has some really big wins over Cameron Van Camp, and he also has a big win against Miguel Beza, which is a good opponent in the welterweight division. Time for him to get that top 25, top 30 guy in Nico Price. And if he wins that one, we can start talking about him versus some top 25 guys. And then start talking about him versus some ranked opponents. Andre Fialho, Nico Price, main card of the pay-per-view opener in Singapore, UFC 275. Price hasn't fought in a while, so I think he's itching to get back in there. He's got like 10 kids. He needs to feed them. Let's get Nico Price a fight in a couple of weeks' time against Andre Fialho. And that's all the matchups I want to see made. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.